I had something queued up here. I wanted to get your opinion on, as we've actually probably talked more football here for the first hour of the show than we ever have.
No doubt.
So you've beaten allegations. Maybe it's D Money who.
It's never him. Mike comes in ready to rock. He does all this BS all week. It's me that's unloading.
Off track a bit, but I'm not sure if you saw this. You probably did, because you're a junkie for this stuff. But these new strategy jerseys that Miami's going to be wearing leaked from Adidas for Military Appreciation Day.
So I don't think they're actually wearing them. That's my take on this. Every year,
really?
every year that,
because I heard that they were, but you usually have better insight to the jersey stuff than I do.
Every year, Miami comes out with a new jersey that is basically for retail. A hot seller was like this throwback uniform that had number 45 on it last year that you'll still see in the stands. And that was a real hot seller, and it looked like $1 million. A lot of people bought it. It was never intended to wear on the field. I think that if you go over a bunch of the programs, but I don't doubt your sourcing on this. That'll be pretty interesting to see. I'll cross-reference with mine. I don't know if these will actually see the field. I'd be really surprised. Look, it's been I've come around on Adidas. I want us to re-up with Adidas. I know we feel like a Nike school, but what Adidas has done for us on the NIL front and how involved that they've gotten and how much of a priority Miami seems to be to them has got me in their camp. But I will say, they haven't been great this year. There's been a lot of, put it to you this way, there were a lot of rumors swirling about what kind of uniform Miami would wear against Florida. There was that tease student section wear white. There was growing buzz that Miami was going to don a stormtrooper look at home against Florida. And then I ran it by my sources. I'm like, historically, this is a green top game because you're going up against a team with orange in their color scheme contrast. And a lot of the shipments with Adidas have been delayed. Like Miami doesn't even have their full complement of looks yet because Adidas did something different with their jerseys. There's tweaks going back and forth. I don't know if they'll see the field here. And let me address something else. There have been exciting screenshots of jerseys that the Miami Hurricanes have been wearing at practice, including one that looks like the 2001 design.
That's for next year. That's for next year. So I reported that. Yeah. That would they're testing that one for next year. But there was questions about whether they'd wear that one this year, like from fans. But yeah, as you're saying, that's not for this year.
Miami does this year over year. They test out potential looks for the following season and sometimes beyond for Adidas to give feedback to their partners on what works, what doesn't. Miami is very thorough here. And to Mario Cristobal, to his credit, is also very thorough when it comes to these uniforms because he doesn't want the players making excuses like, oh, I don't like this fit. And in the game fit, it's different than the practice fit. Oftentimes they'll practice in the type of jersey material leading up to the game so they can get used to that stuff. Miami has a weird policy when it comes to uniform, very conservative, last year being the lone outlier because Mario Cristobal outsourced uniform decisions to Cam Ward, to the leadership council that was essentially Cam Ward. So that's why Miami had a lot more unique looks in their uniform set last year compared to this year. But one of the reasons why Miami's been a little bit more limited has been because not everything was in on time. I'd be really surprised if they wore that camo. I trust your reporting on this.
Honestly, it honestly wasn't even like a super great source. Someone sent it to me and who is in the know and said, hey, they're doing this with other schools that are going to wear them. And
I think Adidas is churning that design out for a lot of schools that are going to
wear them, and maybe Miami decides not to. I don't know the reasoning behind that. My source is more on the Adidas side, which leads me to my next thing that I was going to show. I haven't confirmed that they're going to do this line for Miami yet, what they did for A&M, but this is what I want to see. As soccer guys, Mike, this obviously hits a different chord for us as that's the Adidas tray. What is it? Tray foil, they call it.
Mm-hmm. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, that looks. I mean, could you imagine a Canes set with this stuff? That would be awesome.
Yeah, that looks outstanding. I think I want to get the Texas A&M one just because it looks so good. Gig 'em. That still works for our Texas A&M side chat.
I want to see more of this from Adidas is what I want to see.
Yeah. Miami also isn't really going to push the envelope there. Miami has a classic look. The head coach, again, plays it kind of conservative when it comes to Miami's look. I think Adidas would be down for however wacky Miami wanted to be. Miami doesn't necessarily want to be that wacky. We know Mario Cristobal 1 year punted entirely on the black uniform set. Now, Carson Beck has been quoted, Pete, saying that he wants to wear black uniforms. He said that on the record. I have no proof that the black uniforms are even in. I know that they've been teased in a social video, but I don't know what they look like. And I don't know for which game they have those things planned. But I was hoping for Miami Centennial season, they'd do something special on the uniform front, harken back to their history. That's why I, like many in our comments section, got excited about that 2001 look. But I've been told by sources in and around that Miami equipment program that don't get your hopes up for something really outlandish this season when it comes to alternate uniforms.
I feel like I think.
Go ahead, D.
No, I was gonna say I can confirm, talking to every single player, when you ask them like what's the like, because it's always a fan question. We do fan questions on Storm Sessions, which is the show I do with UM to interview the current players, and there's always fan questions. I don't care about uniforms, but people always ask, what's your favorite uniform combo in the fan questions, and every single time, without fail, Carson Beck included, but every single one, they say the black uniforms every single time. Me personally, I'm kind of like Mario. It's like, if we're rolling right now with these uniforms, I'm worried that we wear the black, like let's say we're winning and we wear the black jersey. It'll be like, remember when Frank Lucas wore the mink coat in American Gangster, and then he got roped because he was too I don't know, out there. I worry about kind of that. I've seen too many bad games in the black uniforms. We're rolling right now in the orange and green and white, so I might just keep it rolling. But I'm more on the Mario side of that. But the players 100% are with you on the black uniforms. That's what they want.
I remember that narrative when we were playing FSU, when Cam decided that he wanted to wear black uniforms against FSU, and it didn't seem to matter. And people kind of only remember the big losses in black uniforms. And when Miami TCBs, they don't tend to remember that. Pete, I'm sorry, I went to D Money there first just because he was talking and he's across an ocean. You had something on the matter?
Yeah, I honestly lost my train of thought. I'll try to regain it there. No, all
Sorry,
good.
Pete.
All good.
That was terrible for D Money to do that to you. I'm sorry.
What was he talking about now?
We were talking about the black uniforms and the uniforms being available to them, and them having a more conservative
this is what I was gonna say. I hope that Adidas, maybe the reason, because what you just said is that there wasn't gonna be anything too crazy this year for the Centennial. I'm hoping that maybe it's because they're kind of holding and waiting and seeing if they get this extension done. A new deal done, and then kind of unveil everything next year. I don't know.
Yeah, Adidas, to their credit, is working on designs. It's going to be up to Miami's, whether or not they want to go down that road. I do think probably Manny was more enamored with uniforms than Mario is. Mario's very meat and potatoes. He really doesn't care too much about. Miami's supposed to look a certain way on the field, and that's associated with a certain traditional look. But I think he'll listen. I think everybody in that athletic department is a fan of what Adidas has done for them lately. It's not, but I also want to say, don't get it twisted. It's not like Adidas is batting 1,000 right now. There are some logistical things that have fallen through the cracks a little bit that they're working to clean up. That is very true. Manny was also enamored with losing. Manny had a quote when he lost to Illinois. Illinois does this to everybody. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what he meant by that. And I guess they decided to not do that against Mendoza and them boys.
How about that?
Mendoza looks good. I saw Mike Renner put out a mock draft that had him going number 1 overall to Cleveland. And by the way, that mock draft did not have Carson Beck going in the first round at all. Mendoza has been impressive, but this is a big week for Mendoza. A lot of rat poison around Kirk Cignetti's program. And guess who's next? Kirk Ferentz, who lives off of this rat poison being fed to other teams.
Yeah, the only tall Cuban that doesn't work for the Dan Levitard show is Mendoza. But yeah, man, he looked awesome. We'll see. I mean, he'll have ups and downs. It's not going to be a perfect. He's not going to be, what's he, 14 touchdowns, 0 picks right now. So that he'll have his down game. People are like, oh yeah, this guy sucks. But I think we've seen he's a good player. But at the same time, I like the guy we got. I do think one thing, and obviously I wanted Mendoza here, but once Beck came on the scene, I was all in on Beck, as I think everybody in this show was. But I do think Beck in the locker room, he fits better, is what I can sense. Then maybe, and it's hard to predict those things. You don't really know. But from what I've seen of Mendoza and just knowing Beck and how he has connected with the team and how the teams kind of wrap their arms around him as well, I think Beck is just a better fit in this locker room than Mendoza. Mendoza's it's an interesting guy. Did you see his post game interview when he was talking about them calling out his defense?
He's got a future in media, I think, Mendoza, for sure.
He could be. He reminds me of Kirk Cousins. He's like a Kirk Cousins kind of guy.
I think Kirk Cousins will be awesome when he decides. I think he'd be really good as a color analyst. I'd like to get because look, he's not going to be like a studio guy that's going to give you really strong opinions, but he's smart about the game and he sounds good when he's talking about the game. I think Mendoza is going to be good at that.
I have to bring this comment up because I really don't think Johnny meant this. I think he meant to say Matt Ryan, but he says Mendoza. Although I like him, seems like a dork. He definitely. I don't think he's taking that shot at you. I'm just giving.
He's been taking quite a few shots at me today.
There's no way.
He's not getting a lot of sleep. He's not getting a lot of sleep with Baby Lagoon.
To which I was gonna say, Matt Ryan. I would take a Matt Ryan all day long as the quarterback of my team.
See, look, I clarified for you, and he clarified it for himself in the comments.
Oh wow! No. Then I didn't. And I apologize for bringing that up. Then that's why I gave the
especially spicy of a prick today because I guess he's not getting sleep because of his kids. I wish you well there, but perhaps ease up on the comment section a little bit, man. You have a newborn.
Johnny.
Let's talk a little bit about the games that we like this weekend. This has become a good segment. I was trying to actually go there, and I guess I'll start up with my picks, especially since I don't know if D Money can see the graphic, but Indiana Iowa is one of my games that I'm taking this week. Well, no, that's last week's graphic there, Pete.
Oh, whoops.
No worries.
Is it?
Yeah. Because Notre Dame was minus over 20 there. So I have Indiana.
No, that's the. Oh, sorry. Whoops.
Yeah, I have Indiana against Iowa. I'm taking Iowa. This game's at Iowa. I mean, Indiana probably smelling their own farts. How could you not? They just thoroughly demolished a top 10 team in Illinois. Whether or not they'll be a fraud come season's end, who cares? Like, nobody thought Indiana was capable of that. And now they're going to play a game in which Iowa's going to drag that tempo into the mud. And I kind of like what I've seen from their offense a little bit more. I thought that performance against Rutgers on the road was encouraging in a funky Friday night spot. More on funky Friday night spots in a moment. But I think that's just too many points. 7.5. That's a mighty big hook against a Kirk Ferentz Iowa team. I'm going to take Iowa there as a classic, like, tip the scales back the other way. You're not nearly as good as what you think after that performance against Indiana. D-Money, I'm curious your thoughts on this game because of the Mendoza arc.
By the way, you're on fire with your picks. I don't know the exact record right now, but you're doing very well. Look at this. You got your neighbor from box 17 right here, Coyote.
Oh,
there it is.
Good. Canes football brings us together.
Is it better to be a higher or lower? Like, what's the, like, in terms of like social status, is it better to be higher in the box or lower in the box?
I like to be a little bit higher so I could see the field a little bit better. I used to get the first year that I was a Golden Cane, I was a little closer and I got frustrated with my inability to see the whole field. So I asked for one a little bit higher. Also, they got like different TV setups per box. I'm not really sure why that is. But we see the game, like, we high five. We got it. We got it going on over there. No complaints. Thank you for putting the graphic up there. I have Iowa plus 7.5. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. If Mendoza is the kind of guy that can avoid the rat poison there, I just think it's as simple as too many points in a conference game against Iowa.
No, it's a good pick. Indiana's not going to go undefeated, right? So they're gonna slip up, and they got some tougher games than this coming up. So Indiana is on a high right now. I do think they're going to have their game. It could be this game. Gronowski is an interesting one. I thought he'd be doing better than he is, quite frankly. I know me and Pete watched him in the offseason during the portal, the transfer they got from South Dakota State at Iowa. I thought he'd be more effective in that offense. We'll see how it goes over the course of the year. I like Indiana, man. I like their team. It's, we talk about Mendoza a lot because he's from here. Obviously, we talked about him during the portal, but I do like Indiana's team. They brought back a lot of guys. They were aggressive. And see, you look at Clemson and UF, and we did a spot about this earlier in the week, which is like Clemson and UF. The reason I was not high on those teams going into the year is they just did nothing in the portal, despite having teams that weren't that good. So you look at Indiana, they had a miracle season in many respects. Like, right, they put them on the map, like with the playoffs. Like, this is probably the best season in Indiana history ever. And then they brought back like their best defensive players. They brought back their best linemen. They brought back some good guys, best receiver, but they still went in the portal and got a ton of dudes. Quarterback, running back, offensive line, defensive line. Like, they really, defensive back, they added a lot despite bringing back a lot. So I just really like how they were aggressive, and I like their coach, obviously. Signetti's, the results speak for themselves. So I love Indiana as a team, but I think it's a pretty strong pick. 7.5 is a lot of points for especially for teams that, this is Big Ten. This is Indiana, Iowa. That's got slobber knocker written all over it. So I like the pick. I didn't go there because I like Indiana, but I like the pick.
Despite me getting pissy, I'm sorry. I got two other games. Despite me being pissy at Johnny Lagoon, I would concede that I'm talking a little bit more today. But trust me, that's the nature of the setup and looking at an OrchidMan avatar as opposed to. Quickly, let me go through my other two, and I'll save the Virginia game for last. But because I got thoughts there. TCU plus 2.5 against Arizona State. I think this line is set to get 50-50 action. Arizona State coming into this game as the reigning Big 12 champion, impressive in the CFP, looked good. However, I think TCU is a really good football team. I've been really impressed by watching them so far. I think that, Bill Belichick's North Carolina team is crap, but it was really impressive. They got weapons. I like this quarterback, Hoover, and I think they win this game straight up. So I like TCU at Arizona State. I'll save my Virginia pick for last because that's an FSU game. But you got 3 games on your slate here, D, that I'd like to get into.
All right, let's talk about it. Yeah, the first one was the toughest one for me because with Notre Dame, I like Arkansas's quarterback a lot. I think he's very, very talented. I think their offense is pretty good. So it's at Arkansas. So there are a lot of people picking Arkansas. I think the spread has gone down from when it first opened.
3.5 now. Yeah, you gave yourself a bad line there.
Wow. So, to me, I like Notre Dame. I was impressed with Notre Dame when we played them. I know they've had some ups and downs. Really just that Texas A&M game, which was a down for their defense, but Texas A&M played a hell of a game. They made some explosive plays. I think the quarterback keeps getting better and better with CJ Carr. I just don't think Arkansas's defense is good enough to stop Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's going to have a great day on offense. And then defensively, they're still, I think, smarting from that Texas A&M game. They played pretty well against Miami. I didn't think their defense was bad at all against Miami. I thought we were just better. But Texas A&M obviously was a huge setback for them. This is a team that tends to round into form. We've seen it a million times where they get better over the course of the year. They're going to still try to make a playoff push. I like Notre Dame here to play their best game of the season over Arkansas, even though I understand why the line is moving towards Arkansas at home, the quarterback, whatever. Petrino, I just think Notre Dame, this is a statement game for them, and I trust that program, and I trust that program over the course of the season, plus with the quarterback, the young quarterback, also making progress over the course of the season. That's why I like Notre Dame here.
I want to believe, like Nick Saban, every week they come back. You still sure about Notre Dame? And he still swears that this is a good football team in Notre Dame, and Nick Saban knows ball. I'm a little nervous. I'm even more nervous because Arkansas lost to Memphis, because I think they got caught looking ahead, and now there's a game that gets them to refocus. Is a big game for both of these teams' season. That's certainly a game that you want to be locked into. And as a Miami fan, even though I'm naturally predisposed to hating Notre Dame, I'm rooting for them to look good because it boosts our resume. This is one of the games of the week. Man, the primetime slate, especially D-Money, is outstanding. And tough games to pick. James Franklin, historically, doesn't perform well in these top 10 matchups. He's got the home field advantage against Oregon, traveling cross country, playing somebody really for the first time, now that we know that Oklahoma State is crap. So what do you make of this Oregon?
We'll be back soon, Mike.
Go Pokes.
I mean, I had a very bad quarter. Someone, Sergio, I think earlier was saying that I never was held accountable for thinking that UF would score 28 points or whatever I put in the prediction. So I thought DJ Lagway would have that career on the line type of performance, and he was just as bad as the week before. So I was dead wrong on that. So maybe my quarterback prognostication skills are not hot right now, but I really think this game here, Oregon against Penn State, my prediction, I think this is going to be the Dante Moore game where he really announces himself as a national name. I think he's more talented than Drew Aller. I think he's better than Drew Aller. The only thing that really worries me in this game is that Penn State's front's always good, even with all the guys they lost. They're always very dangerous up front. Durant, Dennis Sutton, they got very athletic guys and they get after it. So I do worry somewhat about the Oregon offensive line against Penn State's defensive line, but I really like Oregon's team this year. I think they're pretty balanced. I think they're explosive. I like Dante Moore a lot. And I think Penn State, I don't know. I don't know. I have to see it to believe it. I'm not with Drew Aller. I'm not a believer in him. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like this. To me, is a battle of quarterbacks, and I like Dante Moore over Drew Aller in this game.
I love that take. I agree. I think Dante Moore is going to be in New York for the Heisman ceremony, and I think it's going to be riding a game like this. And while, yeah, I'd concede I'd be worried about their offensive line there too a little bit, that just allows for Dante Moore to make some more big-time plays that are noticeable to the eye. I think Dante Moore is a really good player, and I was a big fan of what Oregon decided to do, bringing him the same year that they brought in Dylan Gabriel, having him be in that offense, having him learn at the knee of Dylan Gabriel, played a lot of football. It seems to have worked out well. I don't know how many quarterbacks are going to be down for that QB and waiting kind of plan, but Oregon knew they had their man. They didn't entertain anybody in the transfer portal this year, and it seems to be working out well for them. I guess we'll find out how well after this Penn State game, which is a huge game. And lastly, you have LSU in a game that's always interesting whenever Lane Kiffin, by the way, this Lane Kiffin documentary on ESPN airing tonight, I'm going to be locked into that because I find them really interesting. Whit Weeks is dating Lane Kiffin's daughter. Lane Kiffin is telling people to take the over on social media. This is a toss-up game, as the line would indicate, but you like LSU in this game. Why?
Weird stuff going on with Ole Miss's quarterbacks. That's a good problem because, the kid from Ferris State, Trinidad Chambliss, who me and Pete actually made a video on when he transferred. So we watched his Ferris State highlights, did a whole video on him, and we liked him. So I see the Trinidad vision, but they lost a ton. People don't realize that Ole Miss was probably the most talented team in the country last year because they didn't make the playoffs. Everybody focuses on us missing the playoffs, which I get. Obviously, it's a Miami podcast, but Ole Miss probably had worse of a choke job than we did, considering what they had on both sides of the ball. Their defense last year was nasty. The guys they had went pro and were phenomenal players. A lot of those guys making plays right now on Sunday. So, you look at Ole Miss, what they lost. I haven't seen enough from them yet to really think that they've replaced those guys. They're going to, Kiffin's a good play call. They're going to call plays well. This guy, Chambliss, is playing well. He's kind of the Cinderella of the week. But how those stories end. And I think LSU, with the way they come after our boy Blake Baker, the blitzes this guy's going to see, they're going to have some empty possessions. And then on the defensive side of the ball, LSU's been looking for that kind of get-right game where the offense really clicks. I think Ole Miss's defense will probably be the weakest that they've played between Clemson and Gators. They played well against LSU with their limited talent. So I think this is going to be a tough game for Ole Miss. I don't see it with Ole Miss right now, knowing what they lost last year. I don't think those guys have been replaced. So that's why I like LSU here.
I do think that they made the right call at quarterback. I think both of us would concede, even though the starter was, I don't know how real that was. Social media kind of linked them a little bit to Miami too, but I think they've got the right guy playing under center. And I guess he's the mystery element in this game. He seems to be a bit of a gamer. I'm a little confused as to what to make of LSU, having played Florida and seeing that transitive property only makes me a little bit more confused, especially when you consider what has happened to Clemson since those two teams played. So I don't think I'm going to have any action on this. You made good points about LSU, but it seems like a really interesting SEC game. Let's go to the Friday night delight. Spooky hours potentially for FSU. The Sharps are all over this game. D-Money, in the group chat, there's a certain collective of us within the collective that have had this game circled for weeks. The ghosts of 1995, the throwbacks being worn by UVA, the Who's, Chandler Morris and them boys can move the ball. They got They're averaging over 500 yards of offense a game. They had one game in which they had over 700 yards of offense. And yes, while they haven't played much of a competition so far this year, they moved the ball against NC State. We all have our questions about FSU. One thing we don't have questions about is their offense. Gus Malzahn, Castellanos, proof of concept there. We know they can get to the outside and they can be good. I think that this is going to be a super high scoring game. I think UVA is going to be quite the test for this FSU defense. If FSU rolls into Charlottesville and TCBs and wins this game by multiple scores, I will be impressed and will be finally aboard on FSU is legit. I don't know that just yet. I don't know what to make of Alabama just yet. I don't know what to make of that Alabama performance, because Alabama could very well be a better team than FSU and could have come out entirely flat. This is a real challenging spot. It's a look-ahead spot. It's a Friday night primetime game. We know from our experience as Miami Hurricanes fans what a nightmare Charlottesville could be when Miami felt like they had the better team. Watch out for Chandler Morris. This team can move the ball. I think they hang inside that number. I love that hook, by the way. 7.5. I haven't liked the hook like that since Scatman. What do you think of this game?
Great take. I love it. I don't know. I mean, FSU is so mysterious because that Alabama game was right at the top. They caught them by surprise. They're like this Micah Danzy guy, who I think is extremely talented. The track star they've been giving carries to and throwing bombs to. They're just kind of a new team, and like I guess I just have to see. Let me say it this way: we're gonna know a lot more about FSU after this game. From a Miami standpoint, I want them to win in a big picture because it's gonna make that. From a Miami standpoint, I just want them to lose every game and suffer it to the maximum amount possible. Now, feeling like they're good for a second, then losing to Miami by 50 points might make them suffer more. So that's like, it's kind of like falling from a higher floor, you know what I mean, in the building. Mm-hmm. So you got to take that into account as well when you're evaluating their potential suffering. But yeah, the game, I'll be honest with you, I really don't know. I do think Chandler Morris is a good fit at UVA. Talk about experience. This guy's, how old is this guy? He's like 24. He's one of these old quarterbacks are really, I think the story of college football right now is just how much experience matters and portal guys. I mean, look at the Heisman odds that just came out, which is going to change a lot, but pretty much everybody on that list is a portal quarterback. I mean, up and down. So this is another one of those guys who's been around. I think that's going to help him in this game. Now, Castellanos is another portal quarterback on that Heisman. I wish I had a better take for you, but the truth is this FSU team kind of puzzles me because I've not heard of 90% of their roster. And I follow this stuff pretty close. I've not heard of anybody. Have you, Pete? I mean, honestly, have you heard of these guys that they have?
He's heard of Earl Little and
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm also not going to set myself up for a clip here because I respect the opponent, unlike you most weeks.
I think it's safe to say we're going to learn a lot.
I respected the opponent too much last week, and now I'm getting tried by my own fans. Like my fellow
I was going to say,
fans.
man, you had that one a lot closer. So
I
learned a valuable lesson about respecting opponents. We're not going to do it anymore on this program.
All right. One thing that I will be locked on is we know how FSU likes to hurt you. They like to get out on the perimeter. They like to run outside, and I thought if there was any bright spots for Florida's rushing attack, I'm sure they probably wish that they started running outside a little bit more on that one touchdown drive that they did. And I know how funny of a statement that is. They had success running to the outside. It was a big physical back. It'd look a little different for FSU. But that's something to keep in mind, because if Miami is susceptible to one thing on the ground game, keep in mind our edge rushers, not only are they great getting pass rush, they've been really great grading out against the run. But I am a little worried about what I saw in that Florida game about Florida's ability to have successful runs on the outside, knowing that FSU is on our schedule and is probably going to test us a little bit more than any team we have on the schedule in that regard.
Yeah, well, look, I think our corners can get off blocks and tackle, so that I feel good about. But the thing that FSU that scares you is that they have track stars. I mean, that Squirrel White's a track star, and Micah Dancy is a track star, and Jalen Lucas. So they have three guys that they're not complete players by any means, but they can make you pay with six. So that's something I think that scares you with FSU. Castellanos also, big play kind of player. So that's the concerns. They're a high variance team. Now, for your point of your pick, which I like to pick, FSU is going to have some horrible games this year. I mean, they're going to have some games where they play terribly and lose to teams they shouldn't lose to. They're that kind of team. What are you laughing about? You don't believe, you disagree?
It's just the matter of factness.
Well, let's see. I mean, how long have you been watching Castellanos?
Yeah, we know.
The second or third best Cuban quarterback in the country. This guy, how long have you been watching this guy? He'll throw stinkers out all the time. Their offensive line are all pretty much Jags their whole career. The running backs are new, so we'll see what they can do. So, I mean, I think, look, we saw them on a good day. They beat Alabama. So obviously they have a good high point to them when they're rolling and when they're making big plays with these very fast receivers. But I suspect there's going to be days where that's not working and they have to throw and they cannot throw the ball consistently. We know that. You know that. We've seen Castellanos for a long time. And their defense is a huge question mark. They just don't have that much talent, at least proven talent. So I think it's a team that could go up and beat an Alabama. Maybe they can scare Miami. That would be obviously a terrible outcome, but they have enough upside that they can hurt you if you're not playing well. But they're also a type of team that can lose by 20 to Virginia, and I wouldn't blink. Like
this is the first.
Go ahead.
No, well, this is the first real team that we've seen FSU play in about a month. So I'm curious to see now that there's film on them, can they surprise UVA with anything? How effective will they be running their game plan now that UVA is prepared for them? I'll tell you what I'm hoping for as a Miami fan. Sure, if FSU loses, great, whatever. It takes a little bit of the air out of what is already set as a primetime game on ABC with Fowler and Herbstreit on the call. I guess I'd like another college game day appearance. I don't care, whatever. But I think that a good scenario is FSU gets tested, FSU squeaks one out in Charlottesville. You have all that hype and hoopla there, but in the course of the game flow, there are a lot of things that FSU does that I don't think will fly against Miami and Miami's personnel. So I'm kind of looking at this game to see if any bad habits get cemented with FSU. If anything becomes like basically DNA to their offense, that I know that systematically Miami can just blow up with the kind of suds that they have on defense. But I am excited because this is the first. I was shell-shocked by what I saw against Alabama. And really, I was shell-shocked at how unprepared Alabama was to play that game. Credit to FSU. The environment was crazy, and they pantsed Alabama in a game that they were a double-digit underdog in. But I think I'll learn a lot from this game, and I'm really curious to watch these two teams play. Let's change gears now to Wrestler of the Week, as D-Money is in Greece. There's a time zone. I'm sure his family wants.
And I gotta hop off here in a couple minutes for something, but
sweet.
Here we go.
I'm going with the Protostar Kyle Fletcher, AEW in town next week. Man, that snuck up on me. Kyle Fletcher is a great story about how AEW can make new stars. This guy was a tag wrestler just a year and a half ago. Tony Khan, credit to him, and AEW, they saw this guy had single star potential all over him. Kyle Fletcher, whether it be in AEW or WWE trying to poach him, he is going to be a major star for many years to come. This guy's got 15 years of possible main events ahead of him. He's good on the mic. He's got the look. He's worked on his body. He is really good in the ring. Probably a little unsafe. Some wrestlers might mention that, but this guy has everything going for him, D. And I'm curious if you see the star potential in Kyle Fletcher, i.e., can you see this guy one day banking big bucks for the WWE because they saw that they needed to steal him?
I'll tell you this. I'm buzzing about Hard Rock on Wednesday, going out to that event. I'm buzzing about BUZZN, the hottest drink in Miami right now, in stores. Big Daddy's Liquors, you know where to find. You can also order a case, drink BUZZN, BUZZN.com. Some of my boy Brad Tejeda text me a picture of him with a nice case of BUZZN, which he ordered on drink BUZZN.com.
Brad at the game.
So 7 was he there? I'm sure he was buzzing. 7.5 milligrams of THC. I don't have the website in front of me, so I can't remember all the lines, but no hang, or all the hang, no hangover. It's pretty nice, pretty nice. And yeah,
I got to hang out with our friend. I got to hang out with our friends at a tailgate that made some international news because the Florida Panthers crashed it. But BUZZN was out there. OrchidMan was out there. It got. By the way, for all you shit talkers in the comments section, guess who walked up
Let's
to
talk about it.
JD this weekend and shook him in the hand, shook his hand and looked him in the eye and apologized for how wrong he was about Miami baseball. You guys hide behind your keyboards, say Mike talks all this bleep, and because they had this miracle run, he's got to fess up. No one in this business down here is more ready to admit when they mess up. I walked straight over to the man, made a beeline, looked him in the eye, and apologized to him. Nobody else does that. You cowards over here calling me out. The friggin' man when it
You
comes
can't
to
wait
that
to admit.
stuff.
You can't wait to admit that when you're wrong.
Can't
You put
wait to
an
admit
Outlook
it.
calendar invite to admit. I got to admit I'm wrong today. Cannot wait.
All right. So your thoughts on Kyle Fletcher?
I want to see more. I mean, honestly, you know, I've seen highlights. I haven't actually sat and watched like a full match, which is like going to favor his style, right? Because he's I mean, his highlights are great. Now, to me, let's see. We'll see the Hard Rock. Last time I saw AEW was at the Panthers arena, and it was not quite electrifying as it was in the Night Center. Night Center, I saw him right after COVID, and it was hot show. They worked the crowd to perfect. That's when Aleister Black came in. I forgot what was his name, Malachi Tony. What was his Malachi name?
He was Malachi Tony.
Whatever his name he used. But so they were hot at that point. Then I saw him again. Fletcher wasn't there, but the crowd was a little dead. So I'm curious to see how we can work the crowd here. Hard Rock, I think, is going to be a cool venue. I got to judge. I got to judge a 15, 20-minute match with a crowd that maybe is, needs to be worked a little bit. That's when I'm going to know what Kyle Fletcher's all about. But I'm excited to see him. His highlights are sick. I mean, the guy's super athletic.
Cool prospect, and he's put up really good matches. Coming fresh off of a main event appearance at the most recent AEW pay-per-view. Who's your wrestler of the week? Do you have one?
Yeah, I didn't have one because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to connect here. It's been dicey. I was at a like this pre-party thing for the wedding. Shout out to Melissa and Timmy getting married here in Paros. Awesome event. Shout out to Tim Enriquez for putting it together. He asked me, he goes, make sure you tell everybody how great this whole setup is. And I'm like, I got you. I got you, Uncle Tim. The setup is outstanding. We're out here enjoying the GNC. They got me a baby blue suit for the groomsmen. So I've been tanning furiously trying to make sure I can pull out the baby blue. I had to buy it. So my wife's skeptical it can work in like real life. But I hope to make it work because it's an expensive suit. And if it only works for one day, maybe the preseason podcast, you'll see me in baby blue suit if I can find the right fit. So I was at that party. So I wasn't sure I was going to make it. So I didn't want to pick the wrestler of the week.
All right. So you don't have a wrestler of the week.
I've been watching some Harley race this week. We can he's always a good choice for wrestler of the week. It's amazing. You see him. Go ahead.
If anyone has a tattoo on that part of the forearm, don't count me into it. But like just a standalone tattoo on their forearm, that's like sailor stuff. Like stay away from them.
Yeah,
Harley
100%.
Race is a dangerous man. Dangerous man, Harley Race. It's like having a battleship tattooed on your chest. And one of the more entertaining dark sides of the ring. You did not want to cross Harley Race. All right, I'll go to the song of the week. Sounds like you petered out there. All right, I'm a little bit of a new wave streak here. I'm gonna go Silent Circles, Touch in the Night. Now, this was a song. I'm a child of the '80s, and I thought I had a pretty good idea of all the new wave songs. I gotta say, I missed this one, and I heard it a few months ago.
Mike, hold on, stop. This song came out in 1985, the year of your birth.
Yeah.
Was this child of the 80s? Like you were out there going to like the cafeteria talking about the new songs on tape. Like you were a baby. This song is, you're a child of the 90s. This child of the 80s stuff is a gimmick.
Fine. Well, I was born in the 80s, but all is to say, look at this guy's hair. I should have been all over this. Have you heard this song? This song's awesome. This song's great.
I chose that picture because I want to have that hairstyle one day.
This song is going to make it into the jukebox rotation. This is Touch Tunes at Las Rosas written all over it. I had no idea what this song had in it. I was like, let me favorite this. I felt so ashamed that I had not known this. Now, they look like an amalgamation of all the 80s bands, and the song is an amalgamation of all the 80s sonic cliches that you can think of, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work and that they didn't do it well. I dug it. So here's a lesser known new wave song to put on your radar, Touch in the Night by Silent Circle.
I've worn that haircut before. So we had a band in high school, Belen Jesuits. We were playing the Belen Jesuit Talent Show 2003, and we did an 80s medley. So I was the only one that had enough hair, to pull off this haircut. So I did that exact hair, not for this song, because Flock of Seagulls has the same
Flock
haircut.
of Seagulls. Yeah, it's
So
called the Flock of Seagulls.
So I put this haircut on. We played the show. It was a great show. My wife at that time, she was my girlfriend. She couldn't make it. She was on a college trip, so she missed it. We got a standing ovation. I've been telling her legends about it ever since. She would respect me a lot more if she was at this show, because it was a 2-minute standing ovation for the 80s medley. But I had this haircut, and needless to say, we won the talent show, Belen Jesuit 2003.
I'd like to see that picture. Do you have a photo of it?
I'm about to find it. Yeah, I think I probably do. But yeah, we played this one. We played Simple Minds. Don't You Forget About Me. We played that one. Everybody's Working on the Weekend. We played Whitesnake, which was outstanding. So that was actually our first song, was Whitesnake.
Tony Katane on the car.
Here I Go Again on My Own. And no one knows the verse to that song. So that was our first song. So we're out here playing this song. Everybody's like, what the hell is this? What is going on? But then once we got to the hook, it was over. So that was like the perfect opener for the 80s medley. And then in between all the medley songs, we did the Our House refrain. So that was like the connective tissue of the medley, was the Our House in the middle of our street. Unbelievable performance. Imagine being another band in that talent show. It was probably daunting to see that, but we won that one.
Well, D-Money, you found a way to be funny despite not being on camera. The advertising jokes were really on point today. I guess you don't have a song of the week either, but I appreciate you regaling us a tale of high school glory instead.
Yeah, well, I was asking him that we took a boat here, and I was asking the guy for some like Greek traditional music. He gave me a whole playlist, but I didn't have time to get the songs ready. But there was some good Greek stuff out here. They play it. There's an instrument called the flauta, which they use in the traditional music, the flauta. So they had some good songs with the flauta.
So this is going to be a Greek wedding, right?
I got to just, I got to lab.
You gotta get in the lab and learn the Bendozali, the Didladad. You gotta, if you need any tips here, I'm a veteran of these Greek weddings. I can give you all the tips that you need. They're all drunk. They won't.
I've dropped your wife's name out here. I've dropped your wife's last name out here. Like, I'm familiar with this very prominent Greek family in Miami. Do you guys know these people? They're like, no, not yet.
You're not in are you in the islands?
Yeah, I'm in the Greek island of what's that?
You got to go to Kefalonia.
That's an island.
That's where the Mekris name really built its reputation.
Oh, there we go.
Where was the Greek family? Kalamata. All right, so go to Kalamata and ask.
Like the olives.
Yeah. All right,
guys. This was a great show.
Sorry, Pete. Do you have a wrestler of the week?
No, I have to get off.
It's basketball season, Pete. You're on that beat, right?
I know. That's what I have to go do right now. The thing that I was supposed to get off early last week got pushed to this week. So I have to do a preview for Canes basketball with another media entity.
All right.
So,
well, Kalamata, I guess that's where the Kalamatiano comes from, which is another Greek dance that you have to bone up on there, D-Money. I'll give you all the tips. Thank you guys for watching us this week. Hopefully back in studio. Hit that like and subscribe. Next week, maybe we got to do a fall brawl or something to really get the people going for FSU week.
I like that. Good idea.
Yeah,
good idea. I like that.
I wanted to do it last year, but FSU was so garbage that I couldn't actually get excited for that game. Maybe we do a little fall brawl. We'll talk about that some more, but enjoy the rest of your Greek trip. Pete, thank you for producing as always. We'll see you from the studio next week. Till then, go Canes.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.